Okay, hi everyone. I'm Vicki Zakshevsky. I'm the Education Director of the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley, and I am so excited to welcome all of our listeners to How Gratitude Can Improve Students in Schools, Educating Hearts and Minds in the 21st Century. That's going to be given by Dr. Giacomo Bono. So Dr. Giacomo Bono is an assistant professor at California State University, Dominguez Hills, who studies positive youth development with an emphasis on pro-social behavior and relationships. He is the co-author with Jeffrey Froh of Making Grateful Kids, The Science of Building Character. And today he's going to be sharing both the science of gratitude and its benefits for students, along with practical ways schools can incorporate gratitude into their work. So please welcome Dr. Bono.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you for tuning in and for taking the time out of your schedule to be part of this webinar. What I'm going to be doing is in a second here, I'm going to switch to the slides that I'll be sharing with you. And my hope is to cast gratitude in a different light for you, as gratitude as a way of better understanding the stories of your students and their personal stories, and hopefully jumpstarting their motivation and their intrinsic motivation, and finding a way to connect with them through simple everyday practices of gratitude. So all right, I will go ahead and again, thank you for being here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my slides on. All right, so here's a little overview of what I'll be sharing with you today. So I've been introduced. So what I'll do is I'll start off with a personal sort of connection to why I'm so passionate about this area of research, and why I think it's so important to be introducing it to the world. Then I'll get into the psychology of gratitude, and specifically what is it, and I'll frame it as a choice that we can always make, and then I'll turn to some of the research evidence on why gratitude matters. What are some of the benefits of gratitude, and why it's particularly important as a life skill, and for young people and their development. Finally, I'll turn to some of the research that we've collected so far in terms of what the advantages are of gratitude to students in schools. And then I will jump straight into the practical stuff of promotion strategies. So some of the things that I think that you're really keen on picking up today. So I'll spend most of my time on those promotion strategies. And then finally, we'll close with the last 10 minutes. I'll conclude and turn it over for any questions that you have. All right. So here I have, obviously, this has nothing to do with gratitude or schooling or anything, but boy, doesn't that slice of cake look good. And the reason I'm sharing it with you is because I had a transformative experience back in 5th grade. I had a teacher who figured out how to connect with us in a personal way. She figured out what made us tick, and how to really get us involved in the classroom. So in particular, she would give these quizzes, and if we answered correctly, we would get stamps and points on a card, and we could accumulate points, and then we get to go to the corner cabinet and pick out these full-size candy bars. And this was in 5th grade, and I found all of a sudden that I was really interested in learning more, and it was at that point that things really changed for me. So here I am back in 5th grade, and I'm willing to share this this photo of my wonderful shorts, but Mrs. Charbonnet really did something that transformed me in fifth grade by really figuring out, how to capture my attention and interest in the classroom and engage me in the process. And so, that was where I think things started for me, realizing the importance of motivation and intrinsic motivation in particular, and the importance of really getting that engagement from students to jumpstart learning and achievement. So what do we know about schooling? And you could apply this to families too. So if I know we may have a lot of educators in there in the audience, but these are certainly some principles that families can practice as well. So let's consider what we know about education today and some of the challenges that educators are facing. So one of the central tenets of teaching is to build positive relationships with students. But as you know, testing is a large part of the equation, and also we have zero tolerance punitive policies in place at many schools, where we act on misbehavior in a way that doesn't really acknowledge the child's motivation or the cause of that behavior. What else? Another unfortunate challenge is the size of classrooms, which really limits how well a teacher can connect with their students. So that's in the school. Obviously, the young people have their home life as well, and so what's happening here? So we see, increasingly we have homes where both parents are working, and increasingly we're seeing strong influences, commercial influences, and advertising that are targeting children, and more and more, we also have other things competing for our attention in today's culture. Obviously, here we are doing a webinar, so I mean, there's certainly pluses to these things too. But the constant availability of information and the overload of this information is another thing taxing, I think, young people to degrees that you and I maybe didn't have to face. And then finally, we have some changing traditions, right? We know that it's taking longer to establish careers and to figure all that out. So we have extended periods of adolescence. So developing into our purposeful adulthood is just a slower and more painstaking issue. But the question is, while all this is happening in today's culture, there is a pressure to compete, a pressure to stand out, and we also know that depression and anxiety are increasing among young people. So the big question then is, who's supporting, or how are we supporting youth's emotional development? And that's where I think gratitude practices can really play an important role. So specifically, with gratitude, I think we could tackle some of these big problems. We know, for instance, that all kids need supportive, trusting relationships to grow and improve. We also know that personal engagement and motivation matter, and that positive relationships are central to becoming your best self, and that everyday emotional support is a key part of this, and a key part of developing resilience. Gratitude, fortunately, is right at the middle of these things, of these important characteristics that we want to impart to young people. In the school context, more specifically, we know that having a safe classroom climate, and again, this can apply at home as well, but a sense of belonging and a sense of support for your ideals and your dreams, and is what fuels hope. And we know that hope is a key quality to have for positive youth development. But more importantly for us educators, these are significant keys to academic success. So before getting into gratitude, let me sort of frame the larger sort of emotional or context on the power of positive emotions, which gratitude is part of. But we know that we've learned a lot about positive emotions in the last 20 years. So for instance, we know that they help build intellectual resources. So when you experience positive emotions, we know that young people and all individuals are better at problem solving. They're also more receptive to learning new information. Another positive or advantage of positive emotions is physical resources. So we know that it's physically healthy, and we know that for instance that for the gratitude practices with adults show, and I'm finding even with teenagers, also find that gratitude practices are related to exercising and eating better. So some physical advantages of positive emotions and gratitude too. So what else? Positive emotions also help build social resources, like solidifying supportive relationships and creating new relationships. And these are really key to youth, because establishing those more supportive relationships early on can help build up that positive identity as well. Finally, there's other psychological resources. I've mentioned the importance of hope and optimism, but and relationships. All those are key to developing resilience, and the importance of focusing on children and teenagers, bringing positive emotions to children and teenagers, is that it can help establish that positive identity and a sense of importance for goals. With some strong goals in place, it's difficult to stop a young person from succeeding, and that's really what excites me about this research. Okay, so let's get more specific here. What is gratitude? Here's a definition for you. It's the ability to recognize, acknowledge, and respond positively for the benefits we receive and for the benefactors in our lives. Gratitude is a choice, and I say it's intentional all around. If you think about it, when a benefactor chooses to act kindly to you, what they are doing is they are essentially doing something that they didn't have to do. In fact, gratitude comes from the word grace, right? It's an unexpected gift, an unexpected benefit. So it's so when benefactors do a kindness, they don't have to do it, and so what? And we know that this intentionality matters, because if you perceive somebody as doing something helpful because of ulterior motives, or because they're not genuine or hoping to get something out of it, we know that that you don't experience gratitude as much. So the intention matters. The intention of benefactors and the people in our lives matter. And the more we tune into these positive people, these benefactors in our lives, the more we become intentional. And that's a central idea here. So what else? We know from research on character strengths that gratitude is among the most malleable character strengths. In other words, it's changeable and growable. We also know that it's one of the most reliably linked strengths to happiness. So gratitude is just one of those natural practices that can reliably increase our joy and success in life. And we're starting to learn all this now. So I have some figures, some pictures here, but it's, if you think about how much we all, myself included, can complain about things, notice that really life circumstances are only about 10% of our happiness. We can't do much about genetics, but a whopping 40% of our happiness is due to intentional activities. So if gratitude is tuning us into the kind intentions of others, and it's making us more intentional, then you can see that that makes a significant contribution to our happiness. And so why not try it, right? Um, so, the truth is the neuroscience is also showing that we tend to not think about the causes of our happiness as much. And so it sort of slides off of us like Teflon. And we tend to gravitate more towards negative information. So that sort of sticks like Velcro. So, the more we practice gratitude, the more we become energized by it, so that hopefully we do it again and we have this reinforcing soul that eventually we internalize and become more intentional from. So here's some of the research on gratitude and why I think it's so important in development and as a life skill. So we know that gratitude serves three functions that promote well-being. For instance, it acts as a moral barometer, and what we get is it's essentially like a benefit detector, and what that means is when you feel grateful, what that tells you is to pay attention to, especially when other people are involved. It sort of signals to us that this is a particularly important relationship that we should be tuning into. So the truth is, not all relationships are equal. Some of them are more supportive, and it behooves us to tune in to those relationships. So it's a benefit detector. It helps us tune into those special relationships. It also functions as a moral reinforcer, and this is what this means is that I think an important point for educators is that it signals to teachers and coaches and neighbors, parents, relatives, whoever those important benefactors are in our lives, when we are grateful, and when we express that gratitude, what it does is it shows those benefactors that we are a good return on their investment. And so we know that as far as the advantages, the potential advantages of gratitude for schools, is that it can counter some of the burnout. The needs of students are so great that it's very easy to feel that the challenges of engaging students personally or being able to motivate them towards the content can be too challenging given the amount of students we have. So the beauty of this is that if students are practicing gratitude in the classroom more, this can change everything and energize us teachers. And I could say personally from my own life, when at those moments when I feel like I just can't do it anymore, when I just feel completely burned out, that just getting a thank you from a student, or hearing a genuine appreciation for my efforts from a student, just changes everything. It re-energizes me. So what else? Gratitude functions as a moral motivator as well. So for instance, we know that when we experience gratitude, that we're more likely to reciprocate kindness. So, when students experience gratitude, they're more likely to be kind in return to, say, the teacher or to whatever benefactor. But the beauty of it is it doesn't stop there. It also goes upstream, and we're likely to pay it forward. So when we experience gratitude, we're also likely to be more kind to others. Here's some of the research findings from my own lab. We're finding that gratitude, and this is particular for young people, gratitude is particularly important for young people because we know that it energizes self-improvement. So when you practice gratitude, why are you exercising more or eating better? There seems to be an anchoring that takes place where you seem to take goals more seriously. You're paying attention to the people and things that matter to you more. And so what we found in our own research is that longitudinally, gratitude seems to be related to social integration, increases in that in the future, and vice versa. So there seems to be this cycle of gratitude leading us to want to use our strengths to help others, which in turn makes us more grateful. And there seems to be this upward cycle of not just improving ourselves, but contributing positively to others. And that's a significant goal for us educators. What else? We also know some of the benefits from the research. We know that gratitude is related to better mental health and life satisfaction. So depression in particular. I mentioned physical health. Materialism, given the commercialism I mentioned earlier, this could be particularly important. Gratitude is like oil and water, right? They just with materialism. So practicing gratitude can anchor us against some of these harmful forces in the culture. Relationships, again, so important for building community. These are all advantages for adolescents that we find in the research, and as well intrinsic motivation and flow. So they seem to get lost more in activities they enjoy. And finally, conduct, better conduct. So anyway, and on that conduct piece, I'll have to share this, which is particularly relevant for schools and educators. We know, for instance, that, and these are longitudinal findings, teenagers who grew gratitude during high school they showed decreases in antisocial behavior and delinquency over the 4 years. And this was because they have increased self-control and satisfaction with life. So, so when you're grateful, and these are some of the ways we measured conduct. So when you're grateful, you're really focused on something bigger and better. And so what's that all about? Let's start moving towards the practical skills that I promised you today. So the larger framework that this all is coming from is the positive youth development view. And what that says is all children have strengths, and all families, schools, and communities have assets or nutrients that can help ignite and guide the use of those strengths. And so the key to positive youth development is creating a good fit between a child's strengths and those opportunities and assets in the environment. So I'm going to be getting into how we can incorporate strength use in a moment. But let me tell you something that's particularly important for the way that I think we can be practicing gratitude in the classroom, and a way that young people could practice gratitude in a way that really is meaningful and helps build up social capital. And that's by practicing and promoting grateful thinking. What do I mean by grateful thinking? Well, here's a study that Jeff Froh and I did in 24 and others in 2014, and this is now the where my effort is in the research with the gratitude curriculum that we're now testing. It's about teaching grateful thinking, and so here's how it works. Without even talking about gratitude or practicing gratitude or whatever gratefulness means, we could actually support grateful thinking by teaching 3 perceptions, and I'll start at bottom here. The benefit or the personal value of the gift. So we can talk about how gifts make our lives better, how they're meaningful or help us, and so we can teach that appreciation, and that produces gratitude. We could also support another perception, the cost to the benefactor. And here's where the empathy starts to kick in. So when we encourage young people to appreciate the sacrifices of a benefactor or the effort that they put in to be able to provide them a gift, that produces gratitude. And then finally, the third perception is the intention or the pro-social intention of the benefactor. When a benefactor does something kind for us, they want to do it. They want to do it for us. They are essentially investing in us. They see something ideal in us, and they want to bring that out. And so we could also promote that appreciation in young people. And this all leads to more gratitude, which over the course of 5 months in this initial study, we found that it increases well-being and as well as thanking behavior. So when the kids that received the grateful thinking curriculum at the end of the lessons, they had an opportunity to express their thanks for an assembly, and they didn't have to, but they could if they wanted to, write a thank you letter to the PTA that sponsored the assembly. And what we found was that compared to the control group that did not receive the grateful thinking lessons, those that received the lessons, the gratitude lessons, were more likely to express thanks to the PTA. So it translated in their behavior as well. So what else? I'm mindful of the time and do want to get to some of the practical stuff, but I think this is important to share with you as well, especially as interest in gratitude in the context of schools grows faster than the research can keep up. So here are some of the findings that my colleagues and I will be writing up and publishing soon. But just to show you that some of the results of our current curriculum research, where we teach this grateful thinking. So some of the results with elementary schools. So here you can see in the yellow column is where these are the curriculum condition, and then we have the controls. These are classrooms who were on a wait list and did not receive the curriculum yet. And what we found essentially from pre to post, and this was from fall semester to the spring semester, many of you may be aware that there's a cyclical effect in terms of well-being and motivation and maybe even achievement from fall to spring. And so we see the same thing with gratitude. Oh, I apologize. I mentioned that the yellow was the curriculum group. That's actually the controls. So let's see. If you look at the yellow column, again, those are people who did not receive the gratitude lessons. They actually went down in gratitude from fall to spring. And this is measuring trait gratitude as a personality trait. So naturally, they seem to be going down from fall to spring. But notice the gray column. This stayed relatively stable. So essentially we were able, and this was a significant difference. So we were able to increase or at least keep gratitude up there with the lessons, whereas it went down in the control group. So some of the other effects that I want to share with you. So here we have, and these are also with elementary school, we also found that, so we were able to teach that grateful thinking. So for instance, on the left, we have increased sensitivity to benefactors' intentions from pre to post, more grateful affect from pre to post. So again, this was from fall to spring. Antisocial behavior went down. Here was something that was particularly exciting to see. These elementary students really took the gratitude practices to heart and applied it to their own friendships. So the quality of their friendships seemed to improve from fall to spring. In particular, they seemed to feel like they were more validated and loved by their friends. They also felt more supported and guided. They also had more satisfying companionship and moments of recreation, more intimacy and exchange. They opened up. Gratitude opened up these students to their friends so that they literally had greater disclosure with each other. And these are young elementary students, fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. Finally, they were more satisfied with their friends. So what else? We're also finding that that with older students, with middle school and high school students, that the curriculum is also related to reductions in depression and anxiety, to reductions in antisocial behavior, the same measures I showed before. Also, increases in hope, which is a central thing to positive youth development. So the lessons really are transformative, and not just with hope, but also with purpose. They seem to be increasing a search for meaning as well. So, what we have is literally we are tuning into to a greater maturity in young people by practicing gratitude. Okay, so let's get to those practical strategies I mentioned. So I went through these benefit appraisals, but let's go through them again. And again, if you're interested in this gratitude curriculum, we are currently seeking schools to enroll this semester and in next fall, and hopefully in the future as well, if we can't get you fully participating in the next 2 semesters. But we're willing to share some of these resources. So, the slides, for example, don't feel like you have to jot everything down. Just take this in. I'd really like for you to walk away understanding gratitude differently. Okay, so speaking of understanding gratitude differently, so let's go back to those benefit appraisals. So here are some key kinds of questions that you could be asking as young people. And you yourself can be practicing this as well. In fact, the more teachers take this to heart, the better. So how is the gift fun? So we're talking about when you receive help or a gift from a benefactor. How is it fun? How is it interesting to you? How is it necessary, or how did you need it? Or how is it useful? Was it something you've been wanting? So these are all questions that we can help young people elaborate on, and it'll make them more grateful. Cost to the benefactor. We could ask specific questions, so like ever since we're toddlers, we practice gratitude almost as a automatic politeness, but these benefit appraisals can allow us to go further and tap into the meaning of these special events when we experience gratitude, so that they really sink in and affect us. So here's where the empathy is really active. So the cost to the benefactor. How did they go out of their way for you? What did they do? What did they give up to do that for you? Did they put in a lot of effort for you? And then finally, the pro-social intention. Why do they believe in you? How are they investing in you? What do they inspire you to do? Right? How do they see you as special? All those are some questions that we can ask young people to focus on when they receive a kindness from a benefactor. And then these are some of the different modalities of, we have complete exercises to make this fun and engaging. We can't really ask students to keep a stuffy gratitude journal, but we have all sorts of ways to practice gratitude in fun ways. So, okay, so speaking of practicing gratitude differently, how do we start off, and how can you start off practicing gratitude differently in the classroom? So one of the things that we do is we have young people measure their character strengths, and teachers, you can do this yourselves as well. Go to the values and action inventory, measure your character strengths, have students do it. And then what we do is they get their results, and we have them focus on their top 5 strengths, and they write them down on their hand. And there's different ways you can do this, but you can create a poster of your top 5 strengths with the student's name on it, and you can create a little pouch so that little notes of thanks could be dropped in there from their peers, and encourage your students to acknowledge the top strengths of their peers. So they could drop notes of thanks. For example, I didn't even know that I had my own 11-year-old son take the values and action inventory, and I learned a lot about him. Some of his top strengths are appreciation of beauty and excellence, and humor. And so once I knew that, it's this is something it's so exciting for young people to see that they have these natural talents that they could be using. So you could be acknowledging the character strengths, the top strengths of your students. They could be acknowledging them as well in each other, and dropping notes of thanks and saying, I was having a really bad day yesterday, Johnny. Thanks so much for that joke. It really shows your top strength of humor. And it's a different thank you note. And to see that and experience that really raises the power of gratitude practices. It personalizes it. It introduces that thoughtful attention to each other that we can be giving to students, that students could be giving to each other. And then students see that. They feel like they matter, they feel understood, and so the gratitude practices that tune into our top strengths are particularly powerful, and young people have been particularly receptive to this strengths-based approach. So I do want to get to, so we have just over about 10 minutes left, so I do want to leave some questions for time for the questions, and I want to get into the 2 major exercises that you could be practicing that apply these benefit appraisals, these 3 perceptions I've been mentioning. But just to give you a sense of the flavor, what is of this curriculum and how to really practice gratitude in exciting ways with young people is to really find what works, right? So it's not enough to keep it inside a journal. It's important to challenge them to keep looking for the good and to share that with each other. It's important to slow down and savor kindnesses together and celebrate the kindnesses we experience in the classroom. So use all the different modalities, mix it up, have them share, so you can have them thank the benefactors, a coach, another teacher, the principal, the janitor, whoever. Have them apply those benefit appraisals in notes of thanks towards these people as well. So towards each other, towards these other adults at school. And the more we can use our strengths and use these different modalities, the more it keeps gratitude practices fresh and exciting and impactful. So we have anyway a little bit more info on the full curriculum, but let's see. So again, I'm going to share these notes. So this is just to give you a flavor of the curriculum, but to really get it, like I want to practice what I preach here, and let's really get into the practice. So practice number 1. So here we have you may have heard of the 3 good things journaling approach, and that's a great way to practice journaling. However, one of the key ideas that I think is critical for young people's practice of gratitude is to tune them into the intentions of others, the positive intentions of others. And so one thing that we could be doing is we could set this up as a challenge in the classroom, right? So each day, find one good thing and list it. And then for each good thing, if somebody helped it happen, if somebody helped make it happen, what did they do? Right? So asking them to go a step further. So don't just list a blessing or a gift. Think about the role that other people may have played. So if other people helped make it happen, you want them to get specific and to see that, because that is where they will experience being cared for, and where they will experience that validation that other people really are rooting for them. Okay. Um, so set this up as a challenge. So this is a good way to do the good things challenge, or sorry, the good things journaling. So you can have them journaling a good thing that happened and try to tune them into the positive intentions of benefactors um, in their lives, and challenge them to share their examples in their journal in class. So challenge them, and incentivize it however you can. But the more you practice it, the more they will learn from themselves the power of gratitude. Because it's not enough to value it; you really have to practice it. And so, making it a challenge and having them step outside their comfort zone and share this stuff, and to show each other how they're surrounded by loving people, more than they might recognize otherwise. That's really the goal here. So setting up the good things challenge is one key exercise that you can practice regularly. Here's another powerful technique. So not just journaling and tuning into the positive intentions of others. Those are certainly good things, but again, it's really about practice, 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 and doing this differently. Oh, speaking of different, hang on, back up 1 second. So I mentioned, as far as keeping this journaling fresh, again, you can keep, you can be supportive during this good things challenge, and you could be grateful. And again, don't feel like you need to note this down. I will share all of this with you after the webinar. But you should know that there's many different kinds of people. So challenge students to think about the different people in their lives. So go across the different domains of their life: school, after school, extracurricular activities, at home, in the neighborhood, and go across events as well. You can be grateful for many different events as well. And so it doesn't have to just be kindnesses from benefactors, but it could be experiences of awe, nature, God, feelings of connection to excellence and beauty, or to other forms of spirituality. Those are all good things that happen, and if you could tune them into any positive roles that other people played in those events, that's great. So anyway, tips for keeping it fresh and mixing it up, and that's really the key here. Okay, so back to the letter of thanks. So we could, what we know from the research is that doing the gratitude visit and actually writing a heartfelt letter of thanks and reading it or sharing that with the benefactor is really powerful. So what we've done is we've altered that slightly by focusing in on those 3 benefit appraisals. And so you can see that here. And this is just a template that you can use that literally has them go through the benefit appraisals. So thank you so much for, and then here's where you can focus in on the personal value of the gift. Right? This has really helped me. Again, how has this brought value or improved their welfare in some way? Again, that personal value of the gift. I also really appreciate, again, how things that they did to help make your life better. So really, just really having them think about the personal value of the gift. I realize that describe what it costs. So here you can you can, and you could play with this, but the importance is to really focus in on the sacrifices and the costs of benefactors out there. And then finally, your actions show me, and why did that person choose to help you? Again, they intended to help you. So that intention is powerful to realize. And so, when we support these perceptions, it increases our feelings of gratitude. And so we can systematically go through these perceptions and really have them write a meaningful letter of thanks. And then, they could share that. And the power of sharing that is that they get to see the effect it has on other people. So I wish I could be there talking with each and every one of you individually so that I could see how how this matters to you, and what value this is all adding to you. And I'd love to get personal, but that's really what it's about. It's about getting personal. So if you can, I encourage you to have your students, after they write these letters, to have them read them or present them to the benefactors, because seeing the behavior and the effect of our behavior on others is what it's all about. And that's why I started off talking about strengths, because when we personally are acknowledging the strengths of our peers, when we acknowledge the strength of our students, and the students see that, they feel cared for, and the words of thanks really have so much more weight when we can tap into this meaning, and when we can share and express thankfulness in this way. So anyway, I have the email here. Again, don't worry, we will share all of this with you. For now, my goal is to help you understand gratitude differently, and to see how what potential it has for the practices in your classroom, for creating a more caring community in the classroom, and for invigorating your own motivation as an educator and the motivation of your students. It's about building positive relationships and positive motivations. It's about that upward cycle towards thriving. And that's really what this is all about. And gratitude, I really do believe, even though we all value it, it's not enough to value it. We really have to put it into action and practice it. And so, with that, I really do believe that you can take these tools that I've shared with you and put them into practice and watch them come alive. Because it's not enough to value gratitude. We really have to truly appreciate gratitude by putting it into practice. So I'm at the 10-minute mark. So let me conclude. So how could society be, and in fact, I'll change that slightly. How could schools be? I mean, because really, what is schooling? That's where we're socializing young people. So let's tie in schooling as well. How could schooling and society be gratefully? And I believe that gratitude is a natural way to enhance character, that it's really a question of practice, and it's really a question of figuring out what works for you and what works for your students. I've tried to provide ways to truly personalize gratitude practices in the classroom. Why does any of this matter? Because in practice, when we share thanks and express thanks, that is how we build up new relationships, new supportive relationships. And over time, this helps us create a better social network, a more supportive social network. And that is the social capital that young people need from school, especially, so that they really realize the value of what we're trying to provide, right? It's not enough to teach that content. We want students who are energized by what we have to teach them. And so why not bring in the personal? Why not connect to those personal stories of those humans that we're teaching? Gratitude provides a way to cultivate not just well-being, but purpose as well. And we could start doing that, right? We could start doing that with these practices. So I like to think of gratitude as providing three different things. Not only does practicing gratitude help increase it, but it also increases generosity and grit. And with those three things, I think we can solve big problems. We can personalize education and really connect to students so that they feel like they not only belong, but they feel like they have the potential to change the world. And you know, that all started with the candy bars that I was motivated to get back in 5th grade. You know, but these small changes over time can lead to staggering effects. And I hope that you will learn the same by putting into action some of these tools so that we can help students change the world eventually. And it's that possibility that we could be bringing into the classroom so that education really comes to life. Gratitude gives us that lens to have a deeper conversation, to have a more meaningful, more reflective sort of window into our own lives and the people that matter to us. So let's inspire like great schools and teachers do. And let's practice gratitude in the classroom in a way that'll really make a difference to our students, to ourselves, and to schools and the communities that surround them. And thank you for your time. I'll now segue into some questions.
Hi, Giacomo. This is Vicky. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. We've had a few really interesting questions from our viewers, and a couple of them, they're asking, does this curriculum work for college students?
Well, I have to say, you know, empirically, I don't know. It hasn't been done. You know, so the thing is, all this is moving forward so much faster than you know, the research can keep up with. But you know, I know that I do have some of that research in the works. I don't see why it wouldn't work in the college classroom, and especially as we know that that's when, you know, so gratitude and purpose really do have a special relationship. And in college, that is the period when these questions are key, right? So what's your, you know, what's the bigger picture for yourself, and what are you striving for? You know, so I imagine that that these practices would be highly productive during college.
Great, thanks. We also have a question that revolves around using these gratitude practices with children from different demographic backgrounds, whether it be socioeconomic, cultural, ethnic, racial, that sort of thing. Can you talk a little bit about, does the research address different demographics?
It will be soon. Again, I mean, you know, I wish I could sort of speed up the, you know, the empirical clock and just get that research out there and published already. Unfortunately, a lot of the research, the gratitude research with youth, hasn't. It's mostly been done with relatively, you know, middle to upper middle class, mostly Caucasian samples. So, you know, you know, you could. This is where I'm actively focused right now with the research. We're introducing the curriculum to a wide range of schools and students. A lot of them here in Southern California, where I'm at. So very diverse populations, and I can tell you, you know, from the. I mean, I shared some of the results you saw. Those results were based on a diverse set of students. So yeah, it's working. So, you know, it just needs to get published, but will be soon. So
That's great. So another question, and I guess this is a two-part question. Somebody's asked if there is curriculum for students under grade 4, and then I know we'll also have some listeners who teach early childhood. And so I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about your early childhood project.
I sure can. I'm so excited about that as well because so we do have a preschool curriculum that we've just finished creating, and now we just started piloting it in a preschool and getting some feedback from actual preschool teachers of how it works. So yeah, if you're interested in that, do let us know. If you reach out to us via email. We that's further out. So again, we're just developing that. But we have a measure that goes along. It's a preschool measure and a preschool curriculum, six lessons, and it's quite exciting. We have fun stuff, exercises and readings that go along with it. I can't wait to see the preschoolers practicing it out. But hang tight. That will be available, in the next maybe six months to a year. So it's forthcoming.
I'm also curious about, somebody asked about the curriculum for students under grade 4, so K through 3. And along those same lines, what do we know about the developmental levels of students being able to do the benefit appraisals?
Yeah, most likely, here's the thing. We do know that the benefit appraisals work from grades 4 on up. I think that, these perceptions are hard. They require more empathy. For example, the pro-social intention of the benefactor. I mean, that's, how the benefactor did something special just for us and how they're investing in us and wanting to bring out our best. That might not be something that second and third graders can really tune into, but definitely we see that it's possible in fourth grade. So what I can say is this: it can't hurt to try to support these perceptions, because what I'm finding is that it does seem to bring out a greater maturity, just having the conversation and practicing these exercises. So, try it out. I think, cognitively, it's definitely, these benefit appraisals are a little more complex for the, K through third grade. But I don't think it would hurt anything to try to support these kinds of conversations.
Okay, great. I think we have time for about one more question. So somebody is wanting to know about if the benefits of practicing mindfulness are similar to the benefits of practicing gratitude.
Sure. I think, there's definitely a similarity there. The difference with gratitude, that I like to think of gratitude, and I'm sort of borrowing from my mentor, Bob Emmons, big gratitude researcher at UC Davis. But, he says he called gratitude fertilizer for the mind. I like to think of gratitude as really fertilizer for mindfulness, because what's the fertilizer it's adding to the mindfulness? It's giving us that social piece, right? Because it's in practice that gratitude is powerful. And so, I believe that the power of gratitude is in expressing and reaching out to others who took a cost on us, to others who saw our ideals and wanted to bring those out in us. So when we practice gratitude and thank these special people in our lives, what we're doing is we are gradually becoming more intentional and purposeful. So I see gratitude as adding that social, that social capital element that mindfulness practices can't produce.
Thank you so much. Well, Giacomo, this has been absolutely wonderful. And I just wanted to mention again to our audience that if they're interested in receiving a sample of the curriculum that you talked about, they should email us here at the Greater Good Science Center. And the email address again is gratitude gratitude@berkeley.edu. So again, gratitude@berkeley.edu.
Thank you.
So Giacomo, thank you so much. This has been absolutely wonderful. And thank you to everybody who joined us.
Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in.
All right, we'll say goodbye.
Bye.